everybody. Welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, you know him as the Nigerian Lion from the UK. He is Samson Dauda. He's joining us right now from Seoul, South Korea. Why is he in Korea? What's been going on? This is a crazy, crazy story. So first of all, let me welcome you to the show, Samson. Very glad that you came on today.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Hi, thanks for having me, man.
I'm curious, what time is it? Because I'm talking to you on the East Coast of the USA at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. What is it over there?
It's about 2 a.m. out here.
Ooh, good Lord. Okay. So, man, I got to thank you extra now. I had no, wow. Jeez. So you're on UK time. So I got to start this story from the beginning. So when was the last time you actually competed?
So my last competition was in, I was in Spain last year, Portugal last year. Wow. Basically, did Portugal Pro last year. That was in August. So roughly about this time last year.
Okay.
So that was the last time I competed. So we sort of kind of like, okay, getting ready to start shows this year. And we basically got an invite for the Arnold Classic South America, which was basically the plan after working all year and having a good off season. Yeah. And then we kind of like started prepping for that show. And I think we were about 6 weeks out from that show when the whole lockdown Corona thing hits. And it was kind of like oh, damn, okay, this might just be a short-term thing. It wasn't going to last that long. So it was basically a decision time. Do you want to carry on prepping or do you just want to call it and back off? Yeah. So I sat there and I was like, you know what, man, I've worked so hard to come this far. I ain't going to back down now. I'm just going to carry on going to it. And whenever it happens, I'll be ready for whatever stage comes up. So we basically just carried on the prep. And then as time went on, shows started getting canceled. It started stretching over. First, you're looking at, we started prepping like in January, ending of January. So then April comes along. It was basically March when the lockdown happened.
Yeah, April would have been your show, right? Your show would have been April.
April would have been the show and ending of April. So that didn't happen. I was like, okay. A week later, it was supposed to be the British Grand Prix. That didn't happen. I'm like, okay. New York Pro didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, what do? We carry on going. Then it was like, I think it was like Cali Pro, Chicago, all them shows, one by one, they all started getting postponed. So I was like 7 weeks out, almost 5 times through the whole prep, wow. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? We've put in, not just me, but my partner and the people around me, they've dedicated so much work to me showing my best this year. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm not going to let them down. We're not just going to, sit down and just have a bad year like everybody else and say, oh, well, that's it. Nothing more we can do. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate myself. If it means I got to prep all year to finally get one show at one stage some point, I'm going to go for it. So we basically carried on. So we backed off the prep a bit and we kind of got to the 6 weeks outlook and we just held on to that until we knew what was going on. So the whole lockdown process, we kind of said, okay, it wasn't happening. And then eventually the Tampa Pro was going to happen ahead. And we were like, okay, we're 8 weeks out then. I'm like, okay, that's it. Let's put your foot down on the pedal. We got 8 weeks. Things would probably look up, let's get in. So at that point, I basically contacted the American Embassy and said, look, I'm planning on coming to Tampa. I know that obviously the flight restrictions, everything's still going ahead. I'm a professional athlete. I want to come to do the show for the weekend. What do I need to do? You explain me in the process. Right. So they say basically, if I could speak to my federation, they give me a letter of approval. I show it to them. They give us approval to fly. So I'm like, great, cool. So got a letter from the Pro League, got a letter from the promoters, got everything together, sent it to them. Everything was cool. But what it seemed to be that they didn't know what that they kind of seemed confused. They clashed with each other. You speak to the American Embassy, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. You speak to the home security, and they're like, yeah, it's good, but we need this. So we basically ran through all the hoops and everything, got a visa, got everything that they asked for, and said, okay, cool, everything in. So I even called, when I was booking our flight, we even called British Airways a few days, and I said, look, we want to book the flight to come to Tampa. This is the situation. This is the paperwork. This is all we have. I've even been given like the visa waiver thing. It got approved, and I was like, look, everything is already set. Is there going to be a problem? You see, all right. And they were like, yeah, of course. We don't see a problem here. So I'm like, great, okay. So planned everything, went hard on a diet, got prepped, thinking, yeah, Tampa Pro, first show, reopening. Let's go for it. So packed our bags, got all the plans set, drove to the airport. Literally, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Drove to the airport on a Thursday, got to Heathrow Airport, Terminal 5. About to check in, lady look at our paperwork. And she, oh, excuse me, give me a minute. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
She goes up, she grabs the guy from the back. He comes in, he looks at the paperwork and everything, goes, oh, can't let you fly. At that point, you could imagine the world the ground just open up and suck you. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What's going on? This isn't like, I'm not just trying to get into a club here or something. This is,
right.
see? So he's like, no, like you don't have approval to fly. I'm like, but we have everything. You can see all the letters. You can see all the invitations. You can see everything right there.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. He goes, oh, but Homeland Security, they haven't told us you're coming. They haven't approved you. And I'm like, okay, but you can see that they have a letter here saying, giving me information.
Yeah.
Look, get on the phone. Why don't you get on the phone, call them up, and kind of clarify this? And he basically just said, nah, can't do that. They don't have phone lines over there. They're working on reduced staff or something.
What?
And,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and we kind of started getting a vibe that he really wasn't trying to help us much in that case. And we kind of sat there and, obviously we, at this point, I'm in tears. I'm in tears and I'm begging. I'm like, look, this isn't just a thing. I didn't just wake up yesterday and say, oh, I'm going to go to the work. I'm going for something real serious. I've been planning for this all year. Try to kind of like plead with him that, look, just help us out, find out something. Right. And he just wasn't having none of it. And I was like, so if I asked him, look, from your point of view, what more could I have done? Like, seriously, what more could I have done to me? He goes, no, it's not your fault. You did everything you're supposed to do, but we didn't get told that we can let you in. So at this point, I'm just like, we were at airport for 4 hours trying to just look, plead for her. And then eventually he just kind of like, we sat there and we just thought, you know what? This is really reality. This is really happening. So we kind of went home. And I mean, I don't even need to explain to anybody who's been to understand the kind of feeling you're feeling at that point. And it's almost like a crushing blow to the soul. And you're sitting there, you're thinking, I can't do this anymore.
Well, nobody's been through this. Unfortunately, you're setting a whole new COVID standard because no one's ever had to worry about. It's very, I've been doing this many years, and it's very rare that any contest has ever been canceled because obviously we didn't have a pandemic or anything. But I've never heard, we never had travel restrictions. None of it. This is all brand new, and it's all. You seem to have gotten the worst of all of this. We're not even done yet. There's still more to this. But so who at Hetro? What organization wouldn't let you? Who wouldn't let you on the plane exactly? Who was that guy with?
The U.S. He was with the Homeland Security.
U.S. Homeland Security was over there in Hetro Airport.
They were there at the airport checking paperwork of everybody that's flying to the U.S. and the reason for flying. So, I mean, obviously, he asked me what reason we're going, and I explained to her, and he sort of looked at it like, "Oh, that's not really an emergency. It's not serious enough reason for you to go." And you're trying to explain, look, this is my living. This is, it's not just a joke. I'm not going for a holiday. This is something serious. I'm only going for 4 days. But, eventually he wasn't going to have none of it. So we sort of went home and just like, we sat there and we're crushed. We're thinking, man, what can we do? Like, seriously. So we basically sat there and we said, okay, you know what, man, maybe we'll look at the next whatever show is happening. So we started looking at South Korea. And we're thinking, okay, you know what, UK, South Korea, you don't have to quarantine when you come back into the UK from South Korea. So we're like, okay, this looks a little bit more promising. So we called up the South Korea embassy and just to kind of get clarification, like, look, we're planning to go there for a show, whatever. What do we need to do? And then they say, oh, you're gonna have to quarantine for 14 days. And we were like, okay, damn, all right. And he said that they do give an exemption to certain people when they fly in there. You can apply for that. So we basically said, okay, you know what? Write all the paperwork, do what we got the letters from the promoters for the show, got another letter from the IBB, sent it to the embassy and said, look, is it possible for us to get an exemption? And they basically said, nah, it needs to be humanitarian or something serious like that to get an exemption from quarantine. So at this point, I'm just like, this is really, really not turning out to be my year. It's really, it's horrible. I'm just like, and at this point, just like everybody else, you're just thinking, you know what, might as well just give up. It's not happening. Just give up.
Hold on a second. I want to make this clear. So this show was at the Monster Zim Pro in South Korea. That's what you're in there. That's what you're there for. I know I should know this, but this has been a crazy week already. Is that show still happening or is it not happening?
Happening on the 23rd of August.
Oh boy.
So next.
So this is we're
So,
talking on the 12th of August. So I assume
yep. So I still got a few more days.
are you going to
So,
hang out there for 2 more weeks?
yeah, I've already been here. Well, the thing is, I've already been here. I've already been here 6 days.
Oh my God, dude! And so I saw some stuff AJ sent me that
Yeah.
you are you not allowed to leave that hotel room?
So basically, the quarantine for South Korea, we basically have to call up to find out, look, what does it entail?
Yeah.
And we're speaking to the people. We actually called South Korea themselves and said, look, what is it? Can you go to a gym in the hotel? Can you walk? Like, what does it? And they basically said, look, you're in a room. You don't leave that room for the whole 14 days.
Oh my God!
You know, you get 3 meals handed to your door, outside your door a day. And you're only allowed to open your door that 3 times a day to get the meals, and that's it. That's it.
Wow!
So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, that's a prison. There's no, it
What do they
might be a
give?
nice hotel, but it's
Have you
still a prison.
have they?
So
What are these meals like? Have you had any of those meals yet?
I can't eat them. You can't eat them.
Uh,
Don't even, you just can't eat them. They're not the kind
some
of,
moldy rice. I mean, what are they giving you?
they kind of like the meals you get in an airplane,
Oh,
they
okay.
say.
Oh, like
So
about that big.
yeah, yeah, the little bits and pieces and stuff like that.
Oh,
So so the thing is, every single same person at this point, we're thinking, yeah, nah, it's not gonna happen.
yeah.
So me and my partner, we sat down on the floor and we just we kind of thinking, man, after everything we've been through, this is it, and it felt crushing, man. It felt like after you've worked so hard and you've gone through the whole lockdown period of not giving up, still training, still keeping your diets, doing everything. You believe this whole myth of, if you truly work hard for something, you will get somewhere. And now it feels like that myth is crumbling right there in front of you.
Mm.
So I looked at her and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Mm.
She's like, you want to do? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And she's like, well, I got your back. Yeah, let's do it. And she
Mm.
was like, well, I was like, I'll go alone. I'll bear the grudges. I will do that. But like, look, I grew up in Africa. I went to boarding school in Africa. And I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, man, hell, yeah, I can do this.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, of course, I can do this. I'm like, look, it might be hard. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I got you on the other end of the line. But I believe I can do this. And she's like, okay, what are you going to do with training? What are you going to, I'm like, look, let's do what we normally do. Get some bands, get some whatever, get everything we can. And I'm looking and she's like, what about food? I'm like, okay, you know what? Freeze up as much food as we can. Freeze it up. Forget about packing clothes and all that. Just take 2 outfits or 3 outfits.
Wow.
Stack your up with as much food as you can, long life food, whatever, all the protein you can, and then get on your way. So basically, we were making this decision. We were making this decision on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was flying out on Thursday.
Wow.
So this is between one day. We were making then we literally looked up the flights, looked up everything, contact the promoter and say, look, we're doing this. And he's like, great, we're happy to have you. And they've been absolutely amazing. They have been absolutely unstoppable. They supported me every inch of the way. And they're like, look, we're happy to have you. We're gonna get you back. Don't worry, we'll be there, we'll support you, whatever you need. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. So go on the plane, 17 hours flight, got to the South Korean airport. Obviously, you got to wear the whole mask and shield and everything on the flight. Got to the South Korean airport thinking, okay, here we go. Who do I turn myself into? At this point, I'm thinking more like, okay, I'm a convict. I've just been prosecuted. I'm going to jail. I'm trying to have that mentality switch. Okay.
COVID jail. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, who do I turn myself into? So stayed in the airport for 4 hours, going from one interview to another interview. At the end of the day, we had 7 different interviews to find out what is the purpose of your visit, who's here to see you, what hotel you stayed at. And they literally go through all these processes. I was there for 5 hours. At the end of it, I was exhausted. And I just felt like, you know what, this take me somewhere. So eventually they finally put you on a bus, drive you to a government hotel, put you in a room, give you your paperwork and stuff, put you in a room and say, okay, you're going to be checking we're going to do a test to check if you're positive or whatever. We're going to be checking your temperature once a day. Somebody's going to be coming through. And you talk about the people that walk around here, they in proper hazmat suits.
Oh my
They
gosh.
completely covered from head to toe, gloves, mask, all the white suit, everything. And they walk around. And the whole section of the hotel is just made for people that are on quarantine. So it's completely isolated.
Wow.
So I get up, I get the keys, I go to my room, I look around and say, okay, right, what can I work with? What can I start finding my way around? So we bought like a little tiny stove cooker thing and thinking we made sure we put that in the bag, got here, set it all up, okay, let's go. So from that point on, it's just been, okay, I'm still in the UK time zone. My body hasn't switched yet, so
Yeah.
I'm basically sleeping during the day and I'm awake during the night,
Oh.
and I'm kind of keeping to that time zone like that because practically there's nothing for me to do in the day anyway. So I might as well just work with my own time zone, and this way I get to talk to my partner in the UK and FaceTime her when she's away and say, look, keep it going. So been in here, been doing my training, cardio, running on the spot with cardio, getting the bands, doing every single thing I can just to maintain the shape. Because mind you, I was already in shape already, ready for Tampa.
Right.
All I got to do is maintain that shape for the 2 weeks. You know, as long as the diet, the food is enough and the food is there,
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. Training wise, I can do whatever it takes. I will do whatever it takes.
Did they let you take your food or did they confiscate it?
No, they let me take my food. They let me take everything. They were really nice. I mean, thing is, they were really nice about it. They weren't at no point where they, rude, obtuse, everything. They were like interested. When I said, "Oh, I'm coming here for bodybuilding show," they were like, "Wow, oh really? Oh, wow, okay." And they were really high and nice and everything else with me.
Did you
So I was
pull
like,
up your
okay,
Instagram and show them who you were?
nah,
Oh,
I don't think I don't think they were that interested about that part. But they said, "Oh yeah, we like your muscles." Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So got tucked in the room and everything else. And from that point on, I'm basically kind of got egg whites in the little cans and stuff like that. I'm cooking my meals in the hotel. I'm doing everything else. The food they deliver to you 3 times a day is more or less it's untouchable. There's not even point of thinking about it. It's just untouchable.
Yeah. Wow.
So kind of doing that, kind of whatever. Got in contact with the promoter. They said, look, they basically tried to send me food to the hotel room.
Yeah.
The government, they basically said no. They're not allowed to do that.
Come
Said
on.
no, we can't accept that. I think something about liability of if I fall ill from food or whatever, but they're not allowed to do that. Okay, but then the promoters, they've been non-stop because they were like, okay, Sam, what else can we send to you? So they got me a microwave.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, okay. And then today, after all the running around, today they sent me a big box filled with nothing but egg whites, like
Nice.
frozen egg whites, a lot of it. And I almost cried when I saw the box come through. I was like, oh my god, this is all I need, So they've been absolutely great. They've been keeping contact with me and saying, "Oh, how you doing? How you getting on?" And I'm like, "Man, yeah, I'm great, man. I don't worry. I got everything I need. It's cool." I'm just
Hold
kind
on,
of.
Samson. Why don't you send me some weights? Give me some a
They,
barbell.
they did not allow them to send that either.
Oh man, come on now. What are you gonna do with the weights? Oh, I guess you could hurt yourself with those
So,
lifting weights, right?
I don't know what to think. So in my mind, I'm just like, you know what? Don't sit there and moan about what you can't have and what you don't have and what you can't do and how bad the situation is. Find solutions.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
find a way.
this should have a very happy ending. It should end in you winning and then getting your
Oh man,
qualification for the Olympia. And
man,
then,
that would be a complete dream come true, man.
because I
Seriously.
mean, if anyone else is coming to Korea from outside of Korea, do they have to go through all the
If you're a
same
foreigner,
procedures that you're going through?
yep. If you're a foreigner coming to Korea, you have to do the same quarantine process.
So
So
that show you said is on the 23rd?
yeah, 23rd of August.
Okay. So if you had showed up later, you would have had to stay there longer?
Yeah,
So it
and
would have
then I
been
probably would have. So
okay.
it was basically like that's why we had to really make it so quick because I remember when we decided we called the promoter. We're like, oh, when can we fly? And he was like, if I were you, I'd try to get in before the weekend. And we were like, okay, it's Friday good. He was like, try a bit sooner. And we're like, okay, Thursday. And we flew in Thursday the 7th. So
Hmm.
we're like, okay, say hell, let's go.
Because I mean, if anyone, like I said, if anyone else is doing that show, I haven't seen a list. Of course not. You never see a list this far from a show anyway these days. But I mean,
Uh,
if anyone else is coming from outside of Korea to compete in that show,
mhm.
they're gonna have to either get there like you are way
Oh,
ahead of time, or they're gonna have to stay 2 weeks after the show is all done with in Korea. Is that right?
until you do the quarantine, you're not allowed to even go to the show in the first place. So you already have to be here now, or you're not getting here.
Oh, so if somebody's not there by it's 2 weeks, you said 14 days. So
14
if
days.
they're
But now we're already 11 days away from the show right now.
so I'm saying if somebody's not there now like you are, they can't compete.
They can't
Wow.
compete. They can't come into Korea.
Maybe you're the
So
only non-Korean in the show.
I
Maybe.
probably would be. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, wouldn't they be
So
in the hotel with you? These other people?
they, they should because apparently they have several hotels all around the city that they all allocated for government use for the quarantine thing. So they're not to be in this one or one of the other ones.
Okay. So the Tampa show, I
Yeah,
know this is probably painful to talk about, but did you look at, pictures and videos from the Open to see
of
that's
course. I mean,
I would have beat him. I would have beat him. I would have beat him. Ah!
I'm not gonna obviously say nothing about that, but to be fair, I mean, you can imagine like you know that you were getting ready for a show, and then you see the lineup, you see everything, and I'm like, I can't watch this, I can't, because the pain of it, knowing that just being on that stage and everything else, and you thinking, man, you prepared so much and you focused your mind so much on it, and it's like, you know, you got stopped right at the door. It was just so painful. I was like, you know, I can't even focus on this. You know, I just rather not think about it.
I mean, I'm not saying you would have won. I don't know. I would have had to see you next to Hunter and Ian and
Of
Dwayne,
course.
these guys, but you would have been in that mix. You definitely would have been in that mix for sure, Samson.
I would have hoped so. I would have definitely hoped so. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like we were planning. I mean, we were coming with the mentality of we're gonna win. We have to come with the mentality that we're gonna try. We're gonna do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
So you know, it's unfortunate because it would have been even just for myself to see after the whole year of working and making progress to see okay where do I stack up next to these guys when I stand on stage? You know, it would have been a big question answered. You know, and it was like, do I then call it a year without actually seeing all the work we put into this point? And not actually knowing if you know you've done enough or not or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
So it's been like you said, it's been a year, pretty much almost a year exactly since you competed. What's different on your physique? What have you improved on?
so basically, I mean, last year, basically, one of the criticisms I have was obviously dial in the conditioning a little bit more and
Yeah.
then improve your back. And basically, one thing we more or less just focused all year on was really hitting that back workout more than I've ever done it before. Because prior to that, although I used to train back and everything else, I never went at it that crazily like I should have done. I mean, I tried to spend more time on machines and stuff like that, and not as much on free weights. But since you know I got that feedback, and I was like, okay, that's it, man. Let's soldier on. So started deadlifting, started rack pulling, started going really heavy on back workout. You know, my mentality was, okay, you know what? If that's somebody muscle group I gotta improve on, who's the best guys that's ever done it? You know. So I
Nice.
started watching. I started watching running. I started watching running, and I watched this video, and I got obsessed with it. I was like, okay, I'm going to train like that. You know, pick up the heaviest weight you can and go for as much reps as you can push out until you can't do no more. So we basically just went trained out there like a monster all year, saying okay, and we finally felt like we made the improvement we need. This year, I mean, I've been sucking down since January to get the conditioning right. At this point, I don't know. It's like I'm so sucked in. I'm like, I don't know what more I could pull out if I wanted to. You know,
Yeah, say
so
because
I'm like, okay,
I've talked to a few athletes who most people who were competing in Tampa, that wasn't the first show they were going to do. They were all planning on New York Pro, whatever, and then pretty much everybody's prep ended up getting stretched out. Some of
yeah.
them said it was a really good thing. It worked out very well. Like they were able to like grow into the show because their body got used to being at the low body fat and this and that. Did you
Yeah,
find, because this has been eight months of prep now for you, is your
because
body adapting to it?
I think for Tampa it did because I mean beforehand we were kind of getting ready for the few shows and I said before we were like about that 6 weeks out condition point. And I think where we then had 8 weeks to prepare for Tampa from that 6 weeks out, we basically went just all the way down, pedal to the metal, pull it in as much as we can because the last thing we wanted to do is stand on stage and go ahead, oh, he could just be a little bit more sharp or a little bit. And we were like, you know what, man, no, not this time. Suck it in as much as you can, you know, dial it in. So I mean, we last year I think we were on stage at 270 pounds, and this year we're like, okay, I could have stepped on stage at 280, but we're like, no, bring it even more, bring it down even more. So we came in about 275, and that was what we could have been in Tampa. And it was like, okay, you know, how much more can you pull out? It's just to make sure that you know that's not going to be an issue. The fact is, you want to stand there, especially with your shape, with the shape you have and everything else. Once you stand there, that should tell the tale of what you know what the actual look should be like.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, okay, you know, and we thought we did our homework, you know, totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to see it in 11 days,
Oh yeah,
10 days. You know, we're not,
oh yeah.
this interview won't be up till a little closer to the show, but man, I really hope this all comes true because man,
No.
who's been affected more than you? I'm trying to think. The guys that got ready for Arnold Australia, which and didn't do Ohio, I felt bad for them. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, when I think it was the day I got to Tampa, that's when we knew that you weren't coming.
Coming.
And
Mm-hmm.
I had just done the preview with Giles the day before. We're like, you know, Samson, he's gonna really push Hunter and Ian, and I was really
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to seeing because I haven't seen you since what was the
To
last show I
Chicago.
saw? Chicago Pro last year, and you know, yeah, and I think that was my knock on you. I say
Yeah.
needs a little more back and needs condition, but man, the structure, the shape is just beautiful on this guy. Just needs a little more of this and a little more of that, and I was looking
Yeah.
forward to it. A lot of people were, you know,
Yeah.
we
And
all anyone who's a real fan hates to see this because
yeah.
we want we want you to be able to do your job so we can appreciate it, you know?
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's just really unfortunate because we kind of like worked so hard, and you believe that, okay, come on, man, dig deep, go through the whole diet, go through everything. You saw all the negativity that was happening around the world. You saw everybody kind of like breaking down, like, nah, this year nothing's gonna happen. It's over, it's over, and you kind of pushing your mindset above that and not getting sucked into that for so long. And then it finally comes down to where you're thinking, oh, right, we finally made it. This is the finish line. Right, we did it. And then you get completely slammed on, the door slammed in your face last minute. And you're thinking, oh man, really? Seriously? So it kind of like, I seriously wanted to quit at that point. I really just thought, you know what, this is it. It's not happening. And then we kind of sat there and we really said, look, after all the work we've done so far, we're ready to really call it in. Are we ready to just say, okay, well, we've tried.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know what? So we thought about obviously South Korea coming here and isolated quarantine for 14 days. And my head, I was scared. I mean, seriously, I had fear in my mind. I'm thinking, I'm coming to a part of the world I've never been to before. I'm coming on my own. I got to stay in a hotel room, find a way to kind of train, stay on track, do everything else by myself, and then step into a show by myself and show the best package I've brought. And I'm thinking, am I going to be mentally, am I going to be able to do this? And, you think about life, you think, what life throws challenges at us left, right, and center. Is what you do when then challenges come to land at your door. That's what defines you. So I'm like, you know what, man? Okay. If anything, at the end of this, I can sit back one day and go, you know what? There's this one time I went to South Korea and I stayed in quarantine for 14 days. We went up to a show. So that would be a hell of a story to tell. So I'm like, look, let's do it. Come on, let's go. So, yeah.
8 months of prep so far. Whew.
Oh, yeah.
8 months of prep, several shows that you should have been in by now.
Yep.
So you're basically the poster boy for how COVID-19 has affected pro bodybuilding in 2020. You win.
Yep.
You don't want to win that, but you won. But like I said, I hope to God, Samson.
Yeah.
10 days from now, 23rd, you win that show. You get your Olympia qualification. I hope the Olympia goes off perfectly without a hitch.
Yep.
We need things to get back to normal. I know it's all out of our control. This is nothing
beyond us.
I'm 50 years old and I've never seen anything. The last time I think the world was like crazy like this was probably World War II, which was long ago.
Yeah. I never thought I'd see this thing in definitely not in my time, not anytime soon anyway. Right. But, wow.
Okay. So, I mean, I was hoping that the UK show would have been sooner because that's Olympia qualifier, but it's after the deadline, I think, for qualification this year.
Yeah, so it's qualified for next year's Olympia. So the way we're looking at it, we're like, man, you know what? If we make the Olympia, we're going to be prepping all year anyway. So we might as well jump on any show we can get onto until we get.
Let's say you win this on August 23rd. I'm going to play prep coach here for 10 seconds. I would take a little break. Come on, dude. Your body, I would go on a little holiday or something for like a week.
Exactly that.
Don't go on a cruise ship though. They're full of COVID, those cruise ships.
No. Take a local break. Stay close to home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it, Samson. This is I want to say inspirational story because it's going to be inspirational. It is even, you know what? So far, everything that's already happened, the fact that you're sticking through this, many people would have given up at many different points along this journey this year that you've already had. It said, screw this, threw in the towel. I'm done. I'm done. But, you're really showing that fortitude, that perseverance by continuing to prep because anybody out there who's prepped, it sucks anyway. Prepping is a pain it's a lot of work. It's suffering. It's to add things on top of that. Just it's incomprehensible to not know if you can travel to a show, to not know if the show is going to happen. I can't imagine throwing all that uncertainty on top of prep at your level.
I've been prepping this whole thing, and it's not like I've been prepping and working a full-time job at the same time.
Oh my God.
So the whole thing has just been like, it's been like a serious, like the embodiment of, man, you know what? If you're going to ever dedicate yourself to something and really push through something, this is it. So it's like you go to work, you come home, you go to train, and you just kind of like keep your mind around that whole thing and keep your mind secure and keep your mind to the ground and not looking at a bigger picture and just focus on what's in front of you one step at a time. Because, if you step back and look at a bigger picture, you just think, I can't do this. This is too beyond me. This is just too much. So I think you just kind of think, okay, right, make it through today, then make it through tomorrow, then make it through the next day, just one step at a time, and slowly and gradually you probably get there. Just focus on the one in front of you.
Yeah. Well, that's it, Samson. I'm hoping you are going to be crowned the Monsters Gym Korea open
Thank you.
bodybuilding champion in shortly. You know, meanwhile you're stuck in that hotel room and
Yep.
you know, you're living that life. My goodness, you know, our your fans and everyone else, our thoughts and prayers are with you as you sit there in isolation all the way around the world from your friends and family and country where you don't speak the language and can't leave your hotel room. This is nuts. This is just a
Oh man.
crazy story. But yeah, like I said,
Uh,
we're all praying for this to have the best outcome.
thank
We want you to win, and then it's going to be like, you know, all it's one of
you.
those movies where the hero struggles, insurmountable odds, and then boom, win championship victory. That's good
That
for you.
would be
Yeah.
amazing.
That way, when you win, it's going to be so much better. You know, you're going to appreciate that much more, and everyone's going
I
to
think,
talk about what you went through along the way.
oh, man, seriously, I think I wouldn't be even be ready for it. I think mentally I would just crumble because I think we focus so much on the struggle of it. And you think, okay, I'm trying to get to the goal. You don't really think about, okay, what happens when the goal is over. You just think, okay, just focus on the struggle, getting through it. You know, just next bit, next bit, next bit. You know, but man, I'm so excited. I'm really excited to get on the stage. Even the fact that I was able to come to Korea in the first place, I'm like, okay, you know what? That's the first hurdle done. Okay, come on, you can get through the next one and the next one. Just keep going.
I predict that when you win, you're going to hit the ground like Ronnie used to when he won. Ronnie would just like he would just hit the dirt and put his head down and start sobbing. Remember?
Yeah,
Those are good times. And he
yeah.
doesn't. Yeah. And then Vicky, his girlfriend at the time, used to have to pick him up and carry him off stage. But good times, man. Well, that's it. The Nigerian Lion, Samson Dauda, currently residing in a hotel room in Seoul, South Korea, waiting
Oh, yeah.
patiently to compete in the Monster Gym South Korea Pro on the 23rd of August. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're wishing you the best, Samson. We're all behind you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron.
All right, it's 2:30 in the 2:34 in the morning over there. Thank you
Oh,
so
yeah.
much for doing it. I had no idea it was that late. Thank you so
That's
much.
fine.
This is
I'm up
ridiculous.
anyways. Yeah.
All right, man. So everybody, thanks for watching and be sure to follow this man. What is your Instagram, Samson? We want more people on there.
Oh, Samson Dauda.
Okay, so it's Samson, like the biblical hero, Samson,
Yep.
Dauda, Dauda, right?
Yep. That's it. That's it. Dauda.
Okay. Samson Dauda on Instagram. Follow along. I'm sure you're going to hopefully keep everyone posted as to what's going on this crazy story of yours. Yeah. And that's it, man. Best of luck to you, Samson. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
All right. Everybody, thanks for watching Ronline Report with this man, Samson Dauda. Wishing him the best of luck competing on the 23rd over there in Korea. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, Ron. Thank you.